All right, welcome to the Choose on Purpose podcast, where we live with intention. And I am your host, Becky Ploutz. And today we get to have a conversation with Kerri Spromberg. Did I say that right?
Yes,
Spromberg?
it is
Yeah.
Spromberg.
I was like, wait, did I say it right? I don't usually use her last name when we hang out.
Okay.
So it's like, wait, did we say it right? Anyway, so if you're watching the video, you see that we're in person versus a virtual conversation, which is always fun. And specifically today, I want to talk to Kerri about living for the day, living today, which is part of her business name. She's all about breath work and boundaries. And I want to have some space for Kerri to share with you more about tools and processes that she uses that have become part of business in the way that she works with clients. And she's a yoga teacher, trauma-informed guide, and as I said, breath work, boundaries, all of these things are about being present and helping us be empowered to reclaim our lives and live today fully. And so, Kerri, what would you add for introducing yourself? I'm really excited that you're here.
Yes, thanks
And
for having me.
getting to be in person, just brings us back into the present moment even more. So thanks for taking time to sit with me today.
Yes, thanks for having me. And it's great to be in this space with you. And being able to meet in person is always a plus. It's very important for all of us to connect in person versus online.
Mm-hmm.
And both are beneficial.
Yeah.
So we need both, although this is really connecting and being able to.
Well, when you're a yoga person and breath workers, like it's all about being present and you know, we can do it virtually, which is great. And I think that there's definitely a place for both.
I agree.
Because we've done both. Like
Yeah.
So Kerri and I have been to writers retreats together. She's came to VIP events for me. I've experienced her breath work for events.
Yes, Becky's been at a couple retreats
Yes.
that I've held. Yes.
I've did your headshots. So we've worked together and been around each other. And really, Kerri, how long have we known each other?
Oh, I know. So Becky and I go way back. We met at a group called Mom's Club that my great friend Abby Runner started way back when. And I think that was, let's see, goodness, 15 years ago, maybe.
So Phoenix is 12. So
Yeah.
I joined when she was like 6 months old.
Okay.
So I was in,
So
you were probably
I
in
was
there for
already in
that.
it. Yeah.
And we had
Yes.
met, but not really connected
Yeah.
fully. And we stayed connected through social media and then reconnected.
Yes, we reconnected actually in a coffee shop. So I was meeting a friend for coffee, and Becky was there right before me, meeting the same friend. So we, yes,
Got reconnected.
we got
and
reconnected that way. Yes.
Have been getting to re-know each other
Yeah.
now that we've been on these separate journeys and growth opportunities and just becoming more of the parents that we are, right? Because we met at a mom's thing. So it was like, wow, like 10 years or plus, being a mom will change you in general, but then
No
throw in
kidding.
all of the personal growth and development that we've done. Like we had so much to talk about and
Yes.
connect on. So
In fact, before we started recording, we were just talking about that and looking back on how much we've actually done versus comparing to what we haven't done yet. So that's really what Live Today is all about, is being in this present moment space, talking together and enjoying right now versus always planning the next step. And it's important to plan, as we know.
right, we
And
need both.
especially being parents. we need both. We have to plan, we have to set our goals. Although when we plan and set our goals, then we have to leave that there and then come back to what's happening right now in the present. Yeah, I feel like COVID was a really good example for that, and a big aha moment for me was when, the world shut down and I had to teach my kids from home, right? And I was not a teacher by any means. They were still teaching or learning online virtually, although guess who had to step in and make sure they were getting everything in.
Still to manage it all.
And there was no more teaching in person. And I mean, we could hardly even go to the grocery store, right? So I remember sitting there and my daughter was working on her homework and I was thinking, I shouldn't be doing this right now. I shouldn't be here. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And I had this aha moment especially with studying yoga, wait, why shouldn't I be doing this? Because guess what? This is what I'm doing. And it was a moment of incredible acceptance at that time.
Mm.
Hmm.
Oh, I love the shift. And it sounds so easy when we look
Oh,
back
I
on it.
know. I kind of probably said it, but maybe I
Sheesh.
said it more smoothly than it really was. Although I will say
We grow so much.
it's always a level of work. It is really good work to do, and I shouldn't even really use it as a work. It's almost a journey because there's really
Mm.
no end goal to that. Living in the present moment, there's not an end game to it.
Yeah. I like that the example also is about, the teaching with the kids and like being there because I think as women, especially, a lot of the times it's like this push and pull of like, oh, do I stay with the kids and do the mom thing, or do I go and do this thing that's for me or for my work or my career, like advancing and growing myself, and this push and pull. And there is a balance that needs to happen with, again, going back to the planning, but also being present and making sure like where we intersect those things, it's in alignment.
It is. And it's not, it always moves, right?
Yeah, it's
So
a
it's an
non-linear
alignment
journey.
that, yeah, it's an alignment that is definitely not static. Like it is dynamic. It's constantly changing.
hmm
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then let's talk about your yoga journey because I know that that's a big piece of how, like you said, oh, that
Yes.
helped you come, shut down back in 2020, how that, the teachings and the learnings that you had already been going through before that had really supported you and being like getting to that acceptance point for yourself and your family. So I know that you've
Yes.
been practicing yoga for, over 15 years, right?
Always.
And
Yes.
part of your journey was from giving birth to your child. So walk us through your yoga journey a little bit more and like how it began and how it's evolved to like what you're doing now.
Yeah, sure. So I came to yoga. I used to say I had a bad back, and I'm just gonna, and some of us are
Using
listening to
quotes.
this. I'm using quotes with my fingers right now if you're not watching this. And it's just those words are so affirmative and so definite, and it's always going to be like that. It sounds like it's almost like a negative connotation to my body.
Right.
And so I really been, as I've been learning and going forward, I've been learning to use different words, and how I say things really matter. How we say things
hmm
as a community really does matter because our body really doesn't know the difference. And there's always connotations to what we say or subtle energy that flows with that.
Yeah, so if our body doesn't know the difference, then why
Yeah.
won't we speak good things, right?
Yeah, right.
Feed it the good thing versus the
Exactly.
thing that maybe you think you can't change, but your body doesn't know the difference. So make it good. If you're gonna
Exactly.
my friend Kelly says, if you're gonna make it up good.
Right. Right. Might as well get it out there and make it up good. I agree. Well, so getting back to the bad back, now I say I came to yoga because I had back labor actually with my firstborn child,
Mm,
and I was looking to get back into some kind of fitness, but I didn't want it to be overly taxing because I was tired, first time
mm,
mom at the time.
yeah.
And you don't sleep a lot, although you're not feeling 100% comfortable with anything. I feel like when you're stumbling through the first few months of being a mom,
Your
right?
body, your brain, it's
Yeah,
all like,
all of it.
what?
You're not sleeping, you're barely getting anything to eat.
Getting the life
But you
sucked
want
out
to
of
eat
you a little bit.
everything. Yeah. Right. Um, so anyway, I went into my first yoga class, and I was hooked on it, and it was just enough to get me out. It was my own thing. I was separate from the kids, or from my child. It was just my thing. And as I went through this first yoga class and then continued to go for months, I had a great teacher, and she's still in my life now. And she had said, "You need to teach yoga." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to teach yoga. I don't want to get in front of anybody and teach this." I was scared, to be honest. I had that
hmm
level of fear of, I'm not a yoga teacher. I don't teach fitness classes. I was in HR. My degree's in human resource management. That's what I was doing
Mm.
prior to having the baby. And um, then I go, you know what? But I will take my first yoga teacher training to further my knowledge in yoga. And so I went to the first level one teacher training. And this was way back in 2008. And I was hooked. I learned so much. And then the kicker was I had to teach 5 free yoga classes to get my certification to the community.
Wow.
Yes. So guess what? I went out and I did it, and the fear was gone. And
After
that
one or after the five?
after my 5.
Yeah, after
I
the
mean,
challenge
trust me,
was completed.
my first yoga teacher, anybody who's done anything new, teaching anything, I had my notes in front of me. I wasn't going to veer from any notes. I was doing exactly what that paper said. No exceptions.
Uh-huh.
So
The
yes,
proven path.
yes. Didn't matter who was in my room, which is very, as a yoga teacher, I take that, I say that lightheartedly, but really as a yoga teacher, it really wasn't the best because really I need to be aware of what people are doing in classes. And I do that now as I've evolved as a teacher.
Oh,
There's
that's
so
so
many.
good for the present moment, right?
Right.
Being present with the people that are there and what they need.
Yes, it wasn't about me anymore. And
Oh,
I
that's
think
good.
that's this biggest thing with yoga is that it's and we can all get in our headspace, right? Like it's all about me, and then we get anxiety and we're in our heads. And it's like if we can step back and become present and really realize that it's not all about us and we're this whole community, that we have this whole connection here, and it actually lessens our anxiety. It lessens the fear. Does it happen overnight? No, it happened after 5 free yoga classes. No, I mean,
And that was a
it's still
stepping
happening.
stone.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, it's still happening now. So I'm certainly not a master of any of this, although I keep learning and keep journeying on.
That's why I love that it's a practice.
It
That's
is.
I love if we're talking about intentional words, like that's why I said doing yoga. It's like no, it's I know that it's practicing yoga, and that's very apparent. Like it is a journey and it is a process that you continue to grow in doing it by practicing the way that it goes because your body's different every day. You know, it could
It's
be
so
the way that
different.
your body can bend and move. I'm sure, you know.
Yeah, and
Ugh.
yoga is an interesting word in itself. In Sanskrit, yoga means union, which
Mm.
means that it is a union of the mind and the body and really our spirit. So with all of those energies, there's a physical energy with that, there's an emotional energy, there's a spiritual energy
Mm.
that goes along with that. And in our Western world here, we typically teach a physical practice of yoga, which is really great. And people come to yoga that way. And maybe that's where they want their yoga practice to be, is in that physical realm, which is absolutely great. And it has wonderful benefits for the mind, body, and the spirit. When we go further, sometimes we can start learning how to incorporate all of those. And that's what happens with the evolution of yoga is, my brother said to me once, because I continually am doing trainings now.
Yeah.
And so I have over, I don't even know. I have a lot of trainings, over 500 hours now. And my brother's like, well, how many yoga poses are there? Don't you know them all by now? And I'm like, you know what? It's
Well, that's a
not
good
about,
question. Yeah.
it was because he's thinking of the physical yoga practice. And I said, it's not even about the physical anymore. It's really moved into the mental and embodying that, and how we need all 3 of those to move through our life to really find balance.
Mm. So it's physical,
Physical, mental,
and
and
spiritual.
spiritual.
Yeah, those are the 3.
There's also an emotional realm to it. So usually if you think of like a triangle,
Yeah.
you could do physical, emotional, and then mental.
Mental.
And then in the center is actually the spirituality. And when we can get into the spirituality part of it, I'm not saying it's a religion by any means. I'm saying that really the spirit part of it is actually our breath that yokes us with all of the physical and emotional and mental.
Mental.
So that's really how we become present, is by coming into our own selves and our breath. So if we kind of want to do a little breathing exercise quickly.
Yeah, let's
Just so
do it.
nice and present right now with
I
all of
love
us
it.
together.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and just wherever you are, you can do this anywhere. Let's just ground into wherever it is, whatever it is we're doing. So if we're walking, let's ground into our feet. If we're sitting, we can still ground into our feet and our sits bones, and just kind of notice ourselves from the bottom up. So notice the feet and the knees and the belly and the chest. maybe we'll start noticing that we start sitting up a little taller if we are sitting, or standing a little taller if we're walking. And then let's just go ahead and rest the jaw. And let's open our eyes if they're closed by any means. Hopefully you're not driving and you have your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go ahead and just look around. What do we see? And is there something that we can touch? So we're going to do our five senses. Is there something that, yeah, so we're touching so we can feel that. Is there something we can smell and hear? Maybe we're hearing my voice, or if you're driving, you're hearing cars. If you're walking, maybe birds. And then maybe if we're drinking something, you can taste something, and just go ahead and find those senses. Just point out whatever they are. Then we're going to notice that we're starting to become a little bit present with our external environment. And then we're going to take our deep breath in. And then we're just going to blow the air out and just sigh it out. And then we'll just do a typical ujjayi breath next. So as we inhale, we're going to inhale through the nose and feel the belly and the rib cage and the chest expand. And then we're going to exhale through the nose and just notice that constriction in the back of the throat. Let's just do that 3 more times on your own. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Just let those shoulders go down and back. And then just kind of come back and notice if we feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more
Definitely.
at ease, right?
Hmm.
So just a simple breath that we can do. We didn't even, stand on our heads.
Right? No crazy contorting.
That's later after this.
I love that you bring that up though. Like, as someone that, I dabbled in yoga in 2020 before the shutdown. I actually did my first like 30-day yoga training or challenge with it, yoga with Adrienne on
yes,
YouTube in
yes.
2020. That was my first experience. And I was really just like wanting to make sure I was stretching my body, and like I was kind of coming to that point, like you mentioned, I wanted something physical to be doing, but I didn't want to overexert myself necessarily. And right, thinking like yoga is like, oh, I can do as much as I want with like stretching and, do your best kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's really
Go
what
where your
drew
body
me
can
to
go.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
way that your body can do it today,
Yeah, right.
and kind of see that transformation feel into that. And what I found was exactly what you're talking about, that I started to find that I was more drawn to the way that she was talking while she was giving instruction, that was more what I would call like spiritual conversation, very undertone and instruction and stuff. And it just kind of drew me in at that time to just be curious more about, you know, uh, all of the different aspects. But you're right. Like my vision, my view of it, I mean, was the physical. Like that's just the way that it was kind of in my head, because yeah, I'd see
Well, that is
people
what we know
doing
here. That is
amazing
what we know.
poses.
Yes.
And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa,
And that is what we know. Mhm.
goals.
Yeah. Right, right.
Yeah. So I love that. And you have you have a specific training in trauma informed yoga, right?
Yeah.
So talking about bringing these pieces together, I'm like, you even go to like your trainings and stuff are like next level for like depth, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's actually, so the trauma-informed yoga was interesting because I stepped into that class for my first time in 2014.
Okay.
And the first time I went into that class, it was called Yoga for Warriors. So with
Mm.
that title, I was thinking, and this is how naive I was to PTSD at the time, but I went in thinking I was going to work with veterans because, they're the ones who have PTSD. Now,
Oh.
that is very naive and very, I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
at all. And so when I stepped into that class, I started to learn more about, I was already doing yoga, but I had other things going on within my body and my life. And when I stepped into that class, we started to do things that would release stuck energy within the body. Well, I was unconscious of myself having trauma. Obviously, I didn't even know really what PTSD was or that anybody could have it. And that actually drew out some things in my life that I noticed I had stuck down for my whole
Mm-hmm.
life. I had shoved them down and disassociated with things in unconsciously, or my brain. Now that I understand the brain more, which is really what trauma informed yoga teaches a lot of, is how our brain is circuited and wired. it is designed to protect us all the time.
Right.
So when we have something happen to us, the brain is naturally going to carry us on because the brain's number one function is to keep us alive. That's what our brain does. So when I stepped into that class, I was at the right place at the right time, and it
Mm.
uncovered a lot of things that had happened in my life that I wasn't aware of. Um, so, like I said, I was in the right place at the right time. This is why I'm so compelled to teach the tools to others because I felt fine. I could say I felt fine and I could reiterate a story of what happened to me. And I had something happen when I was very young, 3.
Mm.
And it's not so much about anyone's story, but I will share that eventually. Maybe not on this podcast, but somewhere. And what happens is that when we're so young, 3, the brain then starts to recircuit at a very young age. And I could retell the story at any time, although I wasn't really fixing the issue. So the trauma informed yoga was able to help me get out of my head so much and then connect my body with my mind,
Mm.
which is really interesting because it's called like bottom up processing. So I was actually going to therapy at the time and we did EMDR therapy, which is similar to almost like EFT,
Mm.
emotional freedom or
Okay.
tapping, which is actually a yoga tool as
Mm.
well through trauma informed yoga to release things out of the body and to connect the body with the mind because we need them all, like I said at the beginning with the union, in order to be wholly complete, a
Mm.
whole being, and
Mm-hmm.
in order to connect. So what's interesting is we don't know what we don't know until we start moving forward, and I think that's why I do things that scare me to this day, even coming on the podcast and talking. Becky knows this, and being recorded. There's
Yeah.
fear there, but we might be uncomfortable. And I'm not saying I jumped into this. This was a long time in the making, right, Becky? How long have we been talking about this?
Couple months. Couple months. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just planting little seeds. And
Mm.
that's what I'm saying with getting to know ourselves, is that we just plant these little seeds and take little steps, and then the fear is gone. But if we think of the whole staircase or the whole, we don't tend to jump, right? We don't tend to make those big monumentous shifts. So
Mm-hmm.
my body was I thought I was good. And I thought my body felt the best it could. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, guess what? I took a step. Oh, it could feel even better. Oh, I can share this with other people and we can feel even better. But we don't know that because we're so used to feeling how we feel. So it's interesting. So that is the trauma informed yoga and why I want to share it with others because there's a feeling that's associated with that, and none of us are alone. So I could have had something at 3 years old for trauma, and maybe it was a big T trauma. Someone could have a little T trauma. They say that a lot in counseling, although it really is how your body's keeping the score and how it shows up. So,
Mm.
like Becky and I right now could see an accident and it could maybe not affect her at all, or it could affect me, and it's really just about our past experiences and how we're perceiving things. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
How we interpret it
yeah, and
um
what our brain knows, right? So
yeah.
yeah,
And it goes also, I think it ties with how much words impact people and the way that we say things too, because we could say a word and it means something different for me than it would for you. And that is
yeah,
another way of showing like our experiences shape the human that we are right now by, being conscious of what we're feeling or not even
yes,
being conscious of what we're feeling. Like we blew up for something,
yes,
like I
our
didn't know that was
emotions,
happening.
right? And it happens so fast, and really that is the
Yeah.
little amygdala in our brain,
And
that
that's the getting
fire.
present.
Yes, that's the getting present, because yes, that fire alarm in the brain, the amygdala
So are
fires
you
up.
doing a
Yeah.
pressure point or
Oh
something
yeah.
right now?
So okay, so I'm showing that this, I was just gonna do the image of the brain, and so I'm just gonna use the hand
Okay.
image where we put our thumb in
So
and
try and
then
describe it for the podcast.
okay, so
So
if you
your
were
thumb.
to yeah. So okay, if you were to imagine your brain and then you take your thumb and you press it to the middle of your palm,
Hmm.
and then you go ahead and you wrap your fingers around.
So it's like you're making the number four.
So it's like you're making the number 4,
Okay.
yep, and then you're gonna wrap it around the thumb. And this is a good image of like the brain and the prefrontal cortex.
Looking at the front of
Looking
your
at the front of
knuckles
your
kind of thing.
knuckles.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So look at the front of your knuckles, and then this would be like your prefrontal cortex. Well, this is where we take all of our money, much of our information in. And not all the information, but
Mm-hmm.
it usually goes through there to make sure that we're safe.
Yeah.
Well, what can happen is that sometimes if we have had trauma, then that fire alarm, the amygdala, then if we flip our lid, right? So let's just flip our lid, that would be the reaction.
So flipping the
And
lid is the
flipping the
fingers.
lid is the fingers
Okay.
rising up. And then the thumb in the center is the amygdala, which
Amygdala.
is like there's like two almond shaped,
Okay.
you know, what would you say, circuit units in the brain.
Yeah.
Two almond shaped areas in the brain.
Yeah.
So then what happens is that when we've had trauma, that fire alarm, that amygdala sounds off. And actually, the brain ends up taking what they call like a low road. So if you've ever read
Hmm.
anything by Bissell van der Kolk, he
Okay.
talks a lot about this.
Hmm.
And when we have the low road, then we're gonna flip our lid and react. And
Okay.
it happens like in milliseconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then if you can actually get it through like the the high road, then we can actually like circuit it through to where we can kind of understand it more. So it starts going through the prefrontal cortex. Oh, I've seen this before, and then it goes through the different units of the brain.
So you start to recognize it and
Yeah,
build that awareness and like kind of slow down and
exactly. So
then now
that's
you can
taking
make
the
more
high road.
conscious choice
Exactly.
when you're taking the high road, which is, that saying,
I know
take the
the
high
high road.
road.
Yeah, it is. It is the saying,
Yeah,
take the high road.
that makes sense.
It is. And in order for us to kind of recircuit the brain and to kind of go to where to allow the fire alarm not to sound off so much, we actually have to find tools and things to let our body and our brain know that we're safe.
Hmm. Yeah, to
So it
kind
could
of
be
bring it
present
back.
moment.
And like you said, like EFT tapping and like those modalities are ways to kind of bring us back to center and slow things down and like energy wise,
Yeah. Like
it with emotion
a
and
holistic modality. Now, if
yeah.
you've had major trauma, and I'm never going to say to do
Right.
any of these things, if you've had major trauma, we need medicine or we need to obviously have a doctor come in.
Hmm.
That's totally different. Um, Although these things can help us from keeping ourselves, or if we're triggered, I should say, if they can help us they can help us from getting triggered out in the world if we do these things almost like a bank account, and if we could build this
Mm.
reserve of breath work or meditation or tapping or even like mudras or like hand things that we can do, um, they'll actually recircuit our brain slowly to where then we become more safe
Hmm.
and then we're less likely to react. Will we still react in instances? Absolutely. Will we still be triggered? Absolutely. We're humans. So that stuff does happen.
Yeah.
And these are tools, trauma informed yoga tools are
Yeah.
tools that can help us get in balance with the body and the mind together. So a lot of us think about our mind being number one. The mind's going to protect us, the brain. And a lot of times we make all of our calls through our mind. Although sometimes we have that butterfly feel, or we have that, that wrenching in our gut where we're like, oh, something just doesn't feel right. That's
Hmm.
actually then our vagus nerve that's attached through the brainstem.
Hmm.
So that's actually like
I just
80.
call it intuition.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
But
connected.
it's
The
very
gut.
scientific.
Well, the gut is connected to that vagus nerve, and when we can tone that, and there's a theory called polyvagal theory, which is
Hmm.
by Steve Porges. He's another one that writes a lot about this. That we can tone our nervous system from the bottom up, and now
Hmm.
science has even proved that bottom up processing from the body to the brain has actually helped us with counseling and helped people be able to articulate stories and what's going on. And that's actually what EMDR therapy does. If you're not familiar with it, you actually hold like two electrodes in your hand
Oh.
and then it has a little beeping, like you put these little headphones on and then it beeps like
Hmm.
simultaneously and then has little electrodes in your hand. And then that helps balance that vagal tone into where you can actually recall
Hmm.
a story and you can actually it's not story like picture by picture or like a movie. It's actually just like little snippets of kind of what happened.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
isn't it? That's
Yeah.
really, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
so one of my other questions that I drew out from our pre-podcast questions was about how yoga helped you rewire your brain and realign with the present. So I think that we're talking about that a little
yeah,
bit more about how it is, but is there any other way to break it down for anyone that's listening that's like, well, what does it even mean to really, rewire your brain?
yeah.
Like in
Okay.
in in
Yes. Okay. Non-yoga terms.
non-yoga
Okay.
terms.
So
Yeah.
it kind of means this. Let's just say that we go to the same place every single day. We go to our job, right? And we get in our car and we drive there. And has anybody ever gotten there and said, I don't even remember driving here?
Yeah.
Okay, right?
Autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot. Well, that's actually what our brain naturally does
Yeah.
to conserve energy because it's always trying to keep us safe, right?
Hmm.
So what happens is that it doesn't want to use a lot of energy, the brain. So it will, you'll go past the same tree every day and not really notice it, or you get to work without noticing how you got there. That's our bodies conserving energy. Because think about if
Had
we've
to think
all,
about every detail. How
right,
exhausting.
exactly.
I'm lifting
Yeah.
my hand now.
Yeah. And we were just traveling in a new place, right? And so we're traveling in this new place. I don't know where anything is. So just to get to the grocery store was like a challenge and mentally taxing,
Mm.
because yeah, traffic and you don't know which way to turn. And we've all been there.
Hmm.
Okay. So if we consider we don't have to use that much energy, that's what our brain's going to do. So if we could kind of take a different route to our work or the place we go to every day.
Hmm.
Maybe we're going to, instead of going straight, we're going to make this left-hand turn and go around the block. So we're slowly starting to think about it a little bit more and then recircuiting the brain and then recircuit our brain just like that.
Yeah.
So does that make sense? So you're just going to change the path on which you're driving. Well, that actually then changes the neural pathways in your brain by changing that circuitry.
Hmm.
So when we intentionally do anything, like intentionally breathe, so meditation would be a yoga tool. Yoga itself, physical practice of yoga, if we're breathing and really being present, it can rewire your brain.
Hmm.
Any kind of flow state exercise that we do.
Mm.
Skiing is one, believe it or not. Um, Running, cross country skiing, yoga, qigong, tai chi, any of those things where we're actually very presently moving and breathing and we're recircuiting the brain in those spaces.
Is that what flow state is?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
flow state is.
Okay.
So flow state is moving with your body and your breath.
Mm.
Flow state. We've all been in flow states too, sometimes with our work, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes we write things and all of a sudden we've written 4 pages and we're like, oh, I don't even know where the time went. This kind of just flowed through me. The
Hmm.
flow state.
Yeah, and I mean, I've definitely said that, like, oh, that
Yeah.
felt like a flow, or like I was in flow, and it's like, but that's an actual like thing. Like
Yeah.
the connection is they're aligned.
Present moment. Yeah. So spirit, physical,
Hmm.
emotional. Yeah. All of those are
Hmm.
connected.
And mental, yeah.
Yeah. And mental.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so let's talk about the nervous system healing and breath work. What does it mean to use yoga and breath as a tool to regulate and feel safe again?
Yeah. So, kind of exactly what we said. So, anytime you can stay present, you can set an intention. So, we have different intentions. Um, Typically, we can set they'll change every day. And we also have an intention worksheet. Becky's done that intention
Hmm.
worksheet in a workshop.
Yep.
And it allows us to kind of create our intention. Then, once we go there, we're going to set it. Like, let's just say we're doing a yoga practice together. We're going to set an intention.
Yeah.
Maybe it's I am present. And then as we flow through our yoga poses, our mind's going to go to, oh, I have to go to the grocery store, or I don't really like this, or whatever it's going to pull out from the world into our head, you're going to come back to the heart and say, I am
Mhm.
present. And that's how you would incorporate that in. Same thing with going into a difficult conversation,
It's really
right?
like the mindfulness,
It's
right?
kind of like the mindfulness. And then we're going to get into the body a little bit more. So, like, you could even do mudra with your hands or
Hmm.
tapping. Like, there's a Pan Bayu mudra that you could actually just make with your hands that then allows you just to kind of balance in. And if we breathe into that mudra, it then gets the body in there connected with the mind. So, remember, always going like bottom
Bottom
up
up, yeah.
versus top down. So, mindfulness is top down.
Mm.
Bottom up is from, we'll just say the feet up, but really it's like that vagus nerve balancing up.
So to me, that would mean like being grounded and then then moving up to like thoughts
Yeah,
and
right.
ideas
How
and
does my body feel
yeah.
versus what am I thinking about this?
Mm-hmm.
And then having that communication with that body and the mind, because remember, it's all connected. So it's really, it's interesting and it's a lot of work. Not, and I don't mean work like hard work. It's
Yeah.
rewarding. It's rewarding.
It's
It's
necessary work.
necessary. It
I
is.
mean,
Because once we can balance through that nervous system, we can connect with others. If we're all in our head, we're not listening to anybody else. We're not
mm-mm.
feeling comfortable or safe enough to connect with anyone. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
we miss out. We miss out on us being together right now because I'm thinking about how I have to, go grocery shopping after this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not even
Right.
listening to what you're saying.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
right, right.
We check out of, being in our head too much. And it goes back to also the very beginning of the conversation about fear, how we end up, that's in our head. It's
Hmm.
in our head, thinking about ourselves versus the impact that you're going to make or the people that need to hear from you and that kind of thing. But instead of, that, you're letting it stop you maybe to get the message out or share you the work or give the invitation to someone that
Right.
needs, the thing that you are afraid to say,
Yeah.
and it can be a deterrent, right? And keep us stuck or stagnant. Or, right, like when we get present and we are able to set those intentions, be more intentional about the way that we want to live today,
Yeah.
then, we can really have more freedom in our lives versus being on autopilot and feeling more like robotic and
Yes. And what's the next thing
feeling
we have to do, right? So,
human beings
yes,
versus human doings,
yeah,
right?
we're talking about primary purpose and secondary purpose
Yes.
is a question
Mm-hmm.
that got brought up earlier. And the primary purpose really is for us to be human beings,
Right.
to be together and connect. That is really, all those they called blue zones. Have you ever heard of a blue zone?
Yes.
Okay, so a blue zone is where they're like the best places to live and the oldest people
Oh,
are.
no, I lied. That's the wrong kind of blue zone I was thinking of. So
Is
explain.
that what
Go ahead.
it is? A
No,
blue
no, no.
zone,
I was
right?
thinking of something different, like
Oh, okay.
a feelings chart with blue
Uh,
zone is what I was thinking about. So I've been very intentionally, I think, looking at feelings charts and getting more in tune with the way I'm feeling
yeah.
in myself. So I was thinking about that. So,
So a
okay.
blue zone is like where they have like they've measured people in their healthiness
Okay.
in how long they live.
Oh, okay.
And it boils down to connection as well. Like that's the biggest thing are these communities that are connected. And it's a healthier lifestyle and you live longer.
Mm,
And yeah. So it's called the blue zone. Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was like,
Oh,
okay, I want to make
yeah.
sure that I we
I'm
talk
sorry.
about this since
Bouncing around.
that's
Yeah.
okay that we brought it up to unpack what it means to have primary and secondary purpose and
Hmm.
how that's changed the way that you live your life.
Yeah. So I really didn't, I think that we always go, or not always, but I will say myself, I might come into a place and say, "Oh, this is my passion. This is what I'm meant to do," and really a secondary purpose is really kind of our passion because I think
Mm,
if I asked you right now, maybe your passion is podcasting, right?
yeah,
Although was it that same thing 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, right?
right. And then the
So
primary
so
is
So, so the secondary, the passion, I used to say, I'm so passionate about this, and then
yeah.
that's my purpose. And that's what I believed at the time. Secondary purpose always moves. So it's
Mm,
always very dynamic, constantly changing with our life, right? Because now we have a little one, and my purpose is to get, them off to college or whatever. But the primary purpose is actually us being human beings. So us
mhm.
being present with each other and connecting. That's really our primary
Okay.
purpose is to live. It's not to do anything, like it's really to be. That's really what our purpose here is on earth is to be. And then when we can be, we can connect. And that's where Live Today came in. was how do we live today and be present because that is our primary purpose.
Yeah, I love that. Presence is the primary
Mhm.
and passion is the secondary.
Yeah.
I love that
And we
because
need both.
yeah, we
Hmm.
do. And I just like flashed across my head like, oh, well, I can see how, you know, when I became an entrepreneur, I was fired from a retail job. I decided I was going to be an entrepreneur and start a photography business. And because that was what my passion was, I was asked the question, like, what would you do if you could do anything? And I didn't have this whole big vision. I didn't see the whole staircase
Yeah.
about what does it mean to be a photographer and how do people actually make a living on this? Like those kinds of things weren't there. I was just asked the question in the present moment. What would I do if I could do anything for work, and job and just do something that I'm passionate about? And I was like, I'd capture moments, take photos and document stuff because I that was a passion of mine that I could see the thread throughout my life as a child, my teenage years. Like I was always the person that was doing like capturing those moments with a disposable camera. And I didn't know anything about photography,
Yeah.
right? But it was my passion. So I can see how my primary of being present with my clients has evolved so much. Like looking back, looking back, how easy it is to see like the connection
Yeah.
of my primary and my secondary that has continued to evolve together and have that alignment to now where I'm helping my clients break through their limiting beliefs and break through those ideas about, how they're being seen. And I use my camera and my coaching skills,
Yes,
right? So
absolutely.
like
So
I
you
see
combine
those.
both of them, which is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
cool. I'm glad that we broke that down, the primary and the secondary, because I know um and you like Ikigai.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that does that go along with this a little bit?
Yep.
Like how they
So Ikigai is a Japanese worksheet that
Yeah.
allows you to find your life's purpose. That's actually what Ikigai means. Um, and it will help you find your intention and your purpose. So for anybody who's listening, say, "Oh, I don't know," you might say, "I don't know what that is," and we've all been there. You can start there and print out an Ikigai worksheet. I'll send it to you. You can hook up with Becky. I can
Yeah, I'll,
email it
I'll
to you.
link it in there.
Yeah, if she can link it into the notes. And it just allows us to see what am I good at? Like you said, you were good at photography. What can I get paid to do? And it kind of links the two together very well. Yes, I agree. Hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, because I've done that worksheet with you and did
Yes.
that practice through one of your yoga practices, that was what I thought of when I saw that you were talking about primary and secondary. That reminded me of that and how important it is to, you know, be able to have those opportunities to take time to sit with, where is our passion right now and how can they, you know, unify and make a difference in the way that we're gonna you know, change things up in our life to bring more joy.
Exactly. And that's so interesting because even with the passion, when we're looking at that within ourselves, if we kind of happen to be something pops into our head that says, "Oh, I'm really passionate about that." Also consider things that you kind of want to turn your head to and not look at because there's something there that is touching us emotionally and you're feeling that for a reason. And there might be something in that space for us.
Mhm. I like that you said that too, because that's where the fear comes in, right? A little
Right.
bit of, that's uncomfortable, but that is the opportunity to grow. Right.
Absolutely.
And like you
Yes.
mentioned, like being on the podcast, like that was outside
Yes.
the comfort zone of sharing and like being, okay, I don't know if I'm ready yet, Beck, but
Right.
like we can
Yes.
get there.
Yes.
Okay, great. Like, paying attention, being aware of the fact that we're maybe intentionally turning away from something that scares us a bit is a great thing to pay attention to, not necessarily run to it,
Right.
but be open to the fact that I recognize that there's something over here and I'm not really sure and I'm okay with it staying there for now.
Right. Or maybe, yeah, maybe you're just going to change the way that you look at it and then it kind of opens a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we could reframe the picture versus, the bad back to a back that is calling for me to check out yoga.
It wants you to look at it
Yeah,
and
it
it
wants
wants
me
you
to
to
look
pay
at it.
attention,
Right, it does.
get
And
present.
and that passion thing's interesting because I remember being in HR and I remember saying, "Oh, I'm so passionate." I remember I was in a board meeting and I loved it. And it is interesting because I think that passion too with humans and human resources coming to yoga, it does really
Hmm.
connect. So we find some of these ways to really connect with our life's purpose in things that we're already doing. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, okay, so let's talk about boundaries
Yeah, boundaries.
because that's a huge piece, I think, for all of this. And I know that, we've been talking about pieces of, but we haven't talked about boundaries specifically. And
Yes.
when we're really working on being present and being human and like
Yes.
having a vision, but then also being present in the moment, like we have to have boundaries. So,
Yes.
how
Hmm.
do boundaries support that
Hmm.
idea of having a primary and a secondary? How have you learned to protect your energy and stay in that alignment, both as a teacher and a woman growing on purpose in your life?
Right. Yes. So it's a lot of reflection, I think. And then there's also saying no, right? So that's the thing that is a challenge on all of our plates.
Mm-hmm.
Because once we have our purpose and we know what our purpose and our passion is, then the next step would be to create boundaries on how we're going to feed that passion or that purpose. So we're always going to be asked to do things that maybe we don't really want to do. And then it's up to us to kind of get into that place and say, is this something that will feed my purpose? Is this something that means something to me?
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't say no, and this is a challenge to this day for me as well, and I've had to say no to some things recently, which is really hard, and sometimes it's emotional. Although when we say no, we open ourselves up to other things. So we're saying no to someone else, maybe, or to this opportunity, but we're saying yes to something else. And that's something very much to remember. We might know what the yes is yet, but let's just say that you don't have the energetic capacity to go out one evening. And then it's showing up for yourself and saying, I need this time, I need this space to protect my passion. And maybe the passion that day is to lay on the couch. Because like I said, passions are they change. And it's going to change every day. I'm not saying that your whole passion or what your life purpose is going to change by any means, but I'm saying the energy surrounding that changes. So my passion might be to be a yoga teacher, and that's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Can I teach yoga every single day? No, I can't teach yoga every single day. It takes energy, it takes time, it takes um, presence, and it's not endless.
Mm-hmm.
So when we don't take the time to use, I'm just going to say yoga tools or time to rebuild our cups or refill our cups with whatever that is that works for us, then we don't have anything left to give. And that's where boundaries come in. How can I fill my cup so then I have more to give the world to succeed? And we come first. It's not selfish, but that's the boundaries.
It's self-full and it's coming to the table with a full cup. So that
Exactly.
especially when we're serving other humans, like being
Yes.
in the service business, like I think that is always something I love talking about. I could just talk about it all day, is how important it is for us to be self-fulfilled and have that passion for
Yes.
what we're doing. And I know that we've had side conversations even today about how it's so much better when we can hand things off to people that have that fulfillment from doing this thing that maybe we don't want to do, or it's not in our wheelhouse. It's not a
Yes.
strength of ours.
Yeah, or well,
And it's
for
good
our
to have each
schedules
other.
full. Yeah. And there's a lot of reward in helping other people. I will say that 1000%.
And that can
You
be part of
can't,
boundaries though, right? Is
right?
like my cup or my calendar, we'll just say my calendar. We'll use calendar and cup. My calendar is super full and it will not serve you to deplete because your calendar is already full. So then yeah, it can fill your cup
Right.
by passing it to someone else who has maybe the capability and the open calendar
Yes.
to be able to serve at a capacity that, I mean, in integrity, you would
Right.
want to do anyway. But
Right.
like, you're only one person,
Exactly.
one human being.
And then if you took everything on, we can relate to this. We take everything on and then we're showing up not in a good place.
Yeah, we're
So
depleted.
yeah. So what are you sharing with anybody if you're depleted? Are
The
you sharing?
backwash of your cup. The
Exactly.
very last drops in the backwash of your cup.
Right. Not anything
Gross.
that's going to fill them or yourself up.
Hmm.
And that's where the reaction comes from too sometimes, right? We can react because we are not taking care of ourselves first and foremost. And do we always do that? No, we don't.
No, but we get better.
We get better. It's a journey. Yes, it's a journey.
Yeah, we do.
We
We
do
get
get
better.
better because we keep learning. And that is really what this is all about.
And because you said reflection, like that's a
Yes.
great point is, you brought up reflection, that it is about being able to reflect and right understanding. Well, yesterday I might have made a choice that, I wish I could have changed, but I didn't. But today is a new day.
Yeah, right.
You can choose
Exactly.
different.
Exactly. Yes. Today, in every moment, really. So, if you think about this, this is interesting because I just asked my daughter's friend this on my way here. I said, "How often does your family, or your household talk about feelings and
Mm.
emotions?" Because let's face it, we can have a microsecond, and we go through a day, and we have different seconds, microseconds. Anything can happen. And her answer was never. We never talk about feelings. We never talk about emotions. And then my daughter is standing there. I go, Sierra, how often do we talk about feelings and emotions in this house? She's like, every day. She's like annoyed. But I do have to say that is the number one thing with becoming present and getting to know ourselves too, is how are we feeling? What emotion is coming up with that feeling? And then to know that feelings, oh, this is funny. Feelings don't last very long. I think they're 9 seconds
I
for
think
a
I heard
feeling.
90 seconds
90
if you let it
seconds to
flow through
change.
you. Yes,
Exactly.
yes,
90
90.
seconds to 90 seconds to change it.
Hmm.
But we think about things so often and so much. And I think coming from a place like when I was a child that was, seen and not heard, and
Mm.
having to deal with those emotions a lot on my own, but not really understanding them, is just such a great place to start for families and for ourselves. What's coming up there? And that's a level of fear.
Yeah,
And
unpacking it.
unpacking it. I don't have to unpack the whole thing, but maybe we have the recognition of it, and then we have the acceptance, and then it's like, okay, where'd that come from? And maybe we're just recognizing that something's
Hmm.
coming up.
Start to build the awareness.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And yeah, and to know that we're not alone, that we all have these feelings and these emotions. Yeah.
that's important. And I can relate to that very much. The idea of how, the question, how much do you talk about feelings? I guarantee more times than not, I mean, I can't guarantee, but a
Yeah.
lot of times, right, people aren't talking about because our parents didn't,
Yes.
the generation before didn't talk about their feelings.
Right.
So, like, we are breaking the cycle
We are.
by being more open about feelings and understanding. Like, I am someone that is practicing. Like I said, when you asked me about blue zone and stuff, I was like, I have charts that are teaching me about the colors of feelings
Interesting. Yes.
as a 30 something year old woman learning about feelings because it
Yeah.
wasn't something that I learned in school. It wasn't
Right.
something that my family discussed because that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But I am actively wanting that for my house because now, like my husband and I, we're like reacting versus
Yes.
responding. That was the other
Reacting.
thing that was coming
Yes.
up when you
Yes.
said, you can't, you're reacting to something. And I was thinking about how much I talk about, is this a response or reaction, and those quick, um, firing that happens around, emotions coming up and things like that. It's like, unless we're
Yes.
being conscious of catching them and recognizing that something is being felt
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
the inside, then it comes out and just like, but before you know it, it is those
Yes.
microseconds.
You're so right. And there's this Gabor Mate is another one who studies the brain, and he
Okay.
talks about stimuli and response. And in between stimuli and a response is a space.
Mm.
Well, he's really talking about, again, that high road and that low road with the stimuli
Mm.
going through the sensory thalamus and
Okay.
then going up to the sensory cortex to then reach the amygdala. That would be like the whole high road. And then the
Mm.
low road goes right from the thalamus to the amygdala. So it's like just so super fast.
Hmm.
But that is the fear and the response. And then that's the yelling, right? So here's a good one. I grew up with my parents, with a parent that yelled all the time. So guess what? When I had my children, I yelled all the time at
Yeah.
them. That was my reaction. That was my trigger. And um, I gave myself a star chart. So you're saying with the colors for learning your emotions, I
Yeah.
gave myself a star chart to rewire my brain. On every day I didn't yell, I gave myself a star. Now I
Mm.
know that sounds maybe elementary, although it works.
You were at a starting
It works
level,
for me.
that
It
was a
worked for me.
starting
It was the
level.
starting
Yeah.
level of even recognizing
Hmm.
that I'm falling into the same thing that you were mentioning with generations and trying to break the cycle of those generations. And
Right.
my mom did try to break that cycle as well.
Yeah.
And so between her breaking it and then me breaking it more,
Again, we get better
hopefully
and
we
better.
get better and better.
Our daughters are going to be
Exactly.
better than we
Yes.
are.
My daughter's not going to
Lord
yell at
help us.
all.
Yeah. Just going to be catching it. So good. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's true though. And then, I mean, that's the recognition piece too, is recognizing that we're all doing the best we can with the tools that we have, but also bringing the education and the tools in and then
Yes.
practicing them so that we're getting stronger day by
You
day
got
and
it.
like generation by generation. Like
100%.
we're evolving.
It's not a magic pill.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not. It's messy,
Yes,
it's
and it's life.
imperfect, and it's the present moment.
It is. It is. It's messy in life. And if anyone tells you they have it all figured out, maybe run.
Maybe run. Maybe run. Yeah, I
And
love
feel
that.
your feet while you do.
Oh, what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Well,
Feel your
because I'm
feet?
just saying grounded. Feel
Grounding?
grounded when you're doing it.
I get it.
To
That's
be
good.
present. Yeah, it's funny.
Okay, so thinking about I know that in your forum with me that you talked about not avoiding challenges, and we've kind of talked about that too,
Yeah, we
right?
did.
Stop turning away from
Mhm.
things, and you talked about it's about learning to walk through them with compassion, grace, and trust. These are three things that you mentioned to me. So what does that process look like for you in real life when you're thinking about compassion, grace, and trust?
Yeah, so when I have things come up in my brain, the imposter syndrome of why me or why can't I do that? I really embrace those thoughts with compassion
Mm.
and especially anxiety, because I really think that is one that many of us struggle with. What's coming next, or what is this going to look like? And I kind of just try to really recognize that with compassion.
Mm.
In other words, I'm not saying to myself, why are you always thinking this? Now, sometimes does it pop up in my head? Yes, it does. And sometimes I have to sit back and say, okay, slow down. And what would I say to my daughter? What would I say to my best friend? What would
Mm.
I say to someone who I absolutely loved? And say that to myself and show up in that space for me. And with that comes a lot of grace, because it's a lot of forgiveness to show up in that space.
Well, like you said,
It's
it does come
forgiveness.
up. It's not like, oh, I'm perfect. I
Oh
know how to
gosh,
do this
you're never going to get rid of
because
it.
I have done 500 hours of
Yeah.
yoga and
Yeah.
do all this
We're
training.
never
Like,
going to get rid of it. We're
I'm
never
gonna
going
do
to
it.
get rid of it, but we can get better. And with that comes a lot of compassion and grace with anything we do. When we fail, there's a lot of compassion there. There's a lot of grace.
Mhm.
And then there's trust. And the trust part is trusting that that compassion and grace are going to be there. And then trusting that we are failing sometimes and we're not doing things. Sometimes I say things to people and I wonder, I don't know where that even came from. And then I have to show up with compassion and grace and trust that whatever I said was for some reason meant to be said, or somebody, not liking me or somebody not resonating with me. then just trusting that that's where I'm supposed to be at that time.
Hmm. It's all on purpose.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I always love how it like
Yeah.
intersects because it may not be by design of ours, but universe, God, whatever you want to believe in, like there is a purpose,
Yes.
and even the people that leave, walk away, think we're crazy, whatever it is, they're all on their own journey.
Yeah. And it's, yes. And it's a purpose that goes beyond us. And that's
Yeah.
why that's why we connect.
Hmm. And I love knowing that because that means that I don't have to do anything.
No, you don't. And you're
It goes back to the
choosing
word
to.
work.
You don't have to, but you're choosing to. Just
Yeah.
like me and you living this lifestyle, being
Hmm.
mindful, being aware, doing whatever kind of flows or flow states we're doing or whatever we're choosing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's we're choosing it on purpose.
Hmm.
That's why I love the name of your podcast, Work on Purpose with Purpose,
Hmm.
because it is what you're
Yeah.
choosing to do and it is purposefully, right?
Yep. Yep. It's
Hmm.
choosing that intentionally the way that you want, the way that you're going to move is really what it is. It's not going to be perfect, right?
No.
In the purpose, this is my purpose, this is what it is. But it is about having intention and moving with it.
And trusting it's not always going to look the way we think it's going to look.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Because
A
a
lot
lot
of
of the times it does not
communication.
for me.
No, me neither, right? No.
A lot of the times it is
You're like, oh,
messy.
that's
I
when
mean,
that turned
we
out.
rescheduled this podcast.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
even the fact that, we needed to reschedule. And when that
Yeah.
happens, like not just podcast
Yeah.
specifically, but anything, photo shoots,
Oh yeah.
coaching calls, anything when this has been a big growth point for me that I'll share quick is like
Yeah.
I used to let things like that just like totally throw me off. I would just like scroll for the next hour because I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, and I would tell myself stories about someone blowing off a call. Like I wasn't important enough. Well, really, I didn't like send reminders and like I didn't do these other things, which is fine because in the end, they aren't here sitting with me for a reason, right? There's things that again, it's on purpose. It's in a flow for where I was at in my life at those times. But the growth point is that instead of when something gets moved off my calendar of like, this is just
Mhm.
wasted time for me now,
Yeah.
it's what can I do now with my
Absolutely.
intention
Love that.
that
Like the
is for
silver
me?
lining, like the
Yes.
silver lining, like, yeah, like it's raining outside, so we can't go to the, concert. Although, guess what? I can sit in here and I can read my book or work on this project or whatever.
Hmm.
Love that. It's
Yeah,
so
or play a
true.
game with the family or something, like
It's so
it's a
true.
new opportunity for something else that can still line up with maybe it's your primary purpose. Maybe it's about
Right.
being present and you just need to slow down
Yeah.
and stop thinking about what you need to go work on and
Yeah.
be more present in your house, and what you or your family needs, which is a big learning for me, just making sure like, oh, a meeting was canceled. A lot of the times now I can recognize that my kids needed time with me.
Right.
And now it's like, well, I guess I'm putting my
Yes.
work, quote unquote, work away so that I can go be present with my family,
Yeah.
which fills my cup.
Yeah.
It all
Yeah.
just like recycles.
Yeah. And then trusting that that happened for a reason. Yeah. We had to reschedule because I was sick.
Yeah.
Or I had that congestion or allergies or something that couldn't
Yes.
really talk.
You weren't
Yeah,
100%.
no, I wasn't. I was not 100%.
You needed the
But
rest.
I know. But I was thinking about that too because I was, of course, this is my first time on a podcast, right? So thanks for having me.
Yes.
And it is nerve-wracking, right? And so
Yes.
then I made sure that I called you because I was like, oh, I don't want her to think,
Itching
I'm
out.
flaking out here. Yeah, because she's afraid.
Yeah.
And yeah, so all those things that our mind will show up, and then how much energy we waste on that. So if we can give ourselves that compassion,
Mhm.
maybe let ourselves take a little bit of time and wallow in it and feel that feeling, and then spend the energy on something else because there is always something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and invest it somewhere. And you say spent, and I was like, ooh, I like the word invest just because I know
Oh
that
yeah.
puts back into something, right? Because I was spending it when in
Yes.
the past Becky was spending it on scrolling and doing mindless things because I was actually
Interesting.
feeling a certain way
Yes.
about abandonment or whatever the thing is, right? Some kind of inside emotion that I didn't like people not showing up when they said they were going to, because accountability is a huge part of my core value system and those kinds of things. But,
Yeah.
and I used to not have compassion for the other person, like when they would flake. And I was like, that's not right. Like, I hope that they're okay. I hope, like those were real things, but inside it really was a negative feeling that I was unconscious of.
I get that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then with all the personal work that I've done over the years and opportunities that I found, like, okay, but oh, I really do hope that they're okay. Like, I'm not like, oh, they forgot about me. But it was an underlying feeling that was triggering me to have a thought of like regret or whatever it is. And then I would scroll and just mindlessly do something
So you didn't
that
have
was
to face the
counterproductive.
feeling even.
Yes, exactly.
And
Until I started to give it space, that gap that we were talking about,
yes.
between those thoughts and the emotion, it slowly started to get wider so that I could make a conscious response versus an unconscious reaction
We all
to
know
just
those.
picking up my
Yes.
phone.
Yes. So you started to rewire your brain and then even change your words
Yes.
from spent to invest.
Yep.
And when we spend the time scrolling, that's not really
Gone.
so much of an investment, right? Yes, it's
And then
hard.
an investment, right? For
Hmm.
me, like just thinking about, and I'm consciously currently thinking about, like, I'm really working on financial um verbiage. So we're talking about how much words matter. I'm really conscious because money was not something in my past that we ever talked about. It was another thing. Feelings and money were not conversations in my household growing up, any of that. And now as a 30 something year old woman, I'm like, these things need to be apparent, that I want to pass these on to build better relationships with those for myself and my family.
Absolutely right.
So anyway, I'm working on the financial verbiage that I don't even use to be very intentional about shaping my words. So when
Yes.
you say spend, I was like, ooh, when I spend things, it's just gone. I think about it
Yes.
just poof, it's gone. And when I look at investing in myself or investing in this thing,
Hmm.
I look for return. It's that
Yes.
recycle that happens. It's something that's going to be brought back in the future, kind of thing, is how I look at investing in something versus spending my time. And when I think about my time, I really want to know that it's going to make a difference. So
Right.
scrolling and doing the mindless things, that was making no difference to me other
Right.
than stuffing my feeling
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
hiding it from myself.
Not recognizing it, not being aware of what
Yeah.
is happening. Right.
Versus allowing that to come up and now investing time to say, send the message to say that I hope everything's okay. And yeah, Grace, we can reschedule it. No
Grace.
big deal. This gives me
Yes.
space in my calendar to do something different. What can
Yes.
I do that is going to maximize this hour or whatever I have now that
Yeah.
I didn't have
Right.
before
And
today?
then trust it's going to happen in the future, right? That's
Yes,
the other thing.
exactly.
And those words really do matter. And words are interesting because they radiate at certain frequencies, and there's been lots
Yes.
of studies done on this. So, when we swear, it's at a very low frequency.
Mm.
And when we say positive things, it's much higher. So they did a study on plants and they talked to plants, positive and negative, and we're mostly made of water. So if you
Hmm.
think about how that frequency is showing up in our bodies, there's those megahertz that actually do radiate. And so words do really matter. And being aware of what we're saying matters. And that is a big step. And sometimes people don't know that we're even saying things to ourselves. We might think that it's us, right? Like that's just who I am,
Hmm.
saying these mean things or saying these nice things. And that comes into like a little bit of who we are too, maybe purpose. Because if our purpose is to just be and to be whole and to be compassionate and to be to trust and have grace, that might be like at a soul level, right?
Hmm.
Although
Hmm.
when we start going into all these other negative things, that's actually kind of at a world level. Like, meaning, so there's this program that I run called Inner Guidance in an External World. And the reason it's called that is because we have all these external thoughts about the world or about other people or about us being worthy.
Yeah.
That's the external world. And then the inner guidance is how do we check in with ourselves and our soul
Mm.
and our intention then to navigate from that space versus our mind showing up in all these other ways with the world. And some of us aren't always aware that we're like saying these things to ourselves all the time. So that's where the quiet comes in. And yeah, that can be scary. I get it. Not many people like to sit. People sometimes in yoga classes will leave for that shavasana, which is If you're not familiar with yoga, it's the last, 5, 10 minutes of class where you're just laying there.
Mm.
And that can be really scary for people. And so maybe we start small and we start at 30 seconds or a minute of anything, recognizing it, and then step back and slowly kind of take the next step or go a little further. And then that would also recircuit the brain. Yeah.
Quiet is a big thing. Like for me, I can definitely say that the first time I ever did a meditation, I mean, it helped that it was in Cancun on the beach
Oh,
at
yeah.
sunrise.
Oh, that would
So it did help. I mean, after I got out of bed, it was great.
help.
But it was 45 minutes.
Oh, that's a long
Oh,
meditation for your first one, huh? Oh,
yes.
that's long.
When I tell you,
Yeah,
like,
that's long.
I wanted my eyes opened, I wanted to run off the beach. Like, I
Yes.
was just like, is this ever going to end? And I was in my
Yeah.
head so much.
Right.
But eventually, it broke down that wall, and I just remember crying, like on the beach, because I was just like, I was convincing
Yeah.
myself, just sit here. It's gonna be okay. It will end eventually.
Yeah. But your body
Um,
starts to hurt because you're probably not used to sitting or
Yes, being
lying
that
that long.
still,
Right.
you know. But yeah, so the quiet is a big thing. And one of the ways that I've been practicing, so in October of 2024, I did a 12-hour walk as a challenge. It's 12hourwalk.com. You guys can look it up if you haven't known that I've done this challenge. 12 hours of walking. And the big thing that was
So
really the
one day
challenge
you
is
start.
12 hours,
Okay.
no
Nonstop.
nothing.
Okay. No
So,
eating. No.
oh no,
Oh,
you can
okay.
eat. You can
Okay,
eat
good.
and
You
drink
wouldn't be
and
able to make it.
pack your bag, pack a bag for those
Okay.
things. But I'm saying for the quiet,
Hmm.
like you and I couldn't go do the walk together. I can't walk with someone to talk to you. I'm not on
So
my phone.
silence.
It's in silence. I can't listen to a podcast, which is something I would normally do like
Yeah.
on a walk
Mhm.
in this quote unquote quiet time when it's like, oh, I'm out of my house or doing something different. Well, I'm usually listening to something and inputting something else into me, right?
Right.
And this 12 hours was very intentional about you don't have a phone. I did have my phone on airplane mode to take pictures of the journey because of course I did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I could call people, I could text people, I could listen to an audible book or a podcast. It was none of that. It was just me, my higher power walking out what it was in my head
Wow.
and for 12 hours straight.
Wow. That's
There was a
amazing.
lot of
Yeah.
conversations in
Where
that
where did you do this?
uh Schmeckle or whatever
Oh,
in yeah,
Schmeckle Reserve.
Schmeckle, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Reserve
Yeah.
in Seats
Oh,
Point.
wow.
Yeah,
I
and
think you had to walk around that quite a few
I
times.
did.
Okay.
I did walk that and I almost did the Green Mile Trail, but I
Yeah.
didn't know about bathroom situation and I'm not a squat outside kind of girl. So and it
Yeah.
was good because my knees after 6 hours, I could barely
Oh,
sit down to pee on the
wow.
toilet that I had.
Yeah.
So I was very grateful I didn't try and do anything crazy outside of that. But yeah, that quiet was a big thing for me. And then from there, it was like, I can go for a 45-minute walk without my phone. Of course I can
Yes.
after I do this. So,
Yeah. And it's a lot
like you
easier
said,
now,
starting
isn't it?
small.
Yes. Now it's a
Yeah.
lot easier because you've done it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there's so much peace in it.
I know. You
But the
crave.
challenge is getting started and just taking off those micro pieces and just baby
Yes.
steps. And they build up to that long-term success that
Absolutely.
we're all like striving for. But when we think that it's all or nothing, which is the mentality that I've worked very hard to be shedding, that gap and meeting in the middle is like it's about progress, baby. It's
It
about
is.
progress.
It
It is
is.
not about the
And
perfection.
rest is just as important as movement. I will
Yeah,
definitely say that. But
absolutely.
like when you say go, 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 right? And you've had to work on
That's
the
why I
days.
make good friends with people like you because I am the go-go and then I have people that are just like, what about the rest, Beck? What about the rest?
Right.
What about the meditation and the yoga and the peace inside your body? And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
keep reminding me of the peace. So I want to just quickly ask
Yeah.
about you said that you run a program. Is that your program?
The inner guidance in an external world. Yes, it's a
Okay.
workshop.
Okay.
Hmm.
Is it a live workshop or recording? Or if someone's like, I'm interested in knowing about that, how could they?
Yeah, it runs typically 2 times a year
Okay.
for the whole 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then we were actually doing retreats for one step at a time.
Okay.
That was the Monk Gardens retreat on setting boundaries.
Oh,
There'll be
okay.
more of those coming up for one-offs on how to set boundaries and how to, create a gratitude
Okay.
journal, for example, because when we do gratitude, that's another thing
Mm,
that really does enhance the brain and the circuitry of our brain, is to
absolutely.
think of things that we're grateful for and really write them down every night. And if you can't write them down every night, then just save them in your brain.
Yeah.
It's best to write them down if you could. It's known to be better, but
That brain
that
connection.
brain connection again. Yes, exactly.
Okay,
So
so
yeah.
it's kind of like
So it's
steps.
monk gardens. Yeah. So
Okay.
different retreats, couple hour
Are
retreats.
they on your website
Um,
or email
they
you for the
Yeah,
information?
email me for the information,
Okay.
please. Email
Okay.
me for the
What's
information.
your
Or you could go to Facebook on Live Today. That has a Facebook link on there to my page.
okay.
Mhm.
And your email is live today
Mindbody
mindbody
at
at Gmail.
gmail.com.
Okay. I'll have it in the show notes, but should
Yeah.
we say it out loud? Okay. That sounds good. And then wrapping up, I wanted to
I'll give you a link to my website too,
okay.
and then we can put them on there
Yep,
when that.
that'll be in the show notes for everyone
Sure.
to link up and connect with you. So I love talking about the 5-year vision.
Oh
And that
yeah.
was one of the questions that I had for you. And you talked about speaking more and holding workshops, which obviously you're doing, and sharing your book. So,
Yes.
what's lighting you up about what's ahead for you, and what do you want that ripple effect to be? And also make sure you share a little bit about a preview of your book and what that's
Sure.
about.
So I'm writing a book right now that I do speaking presentations at schools and different organizations for mental health. And we talk a lot about trauma-informed yoga and how that can recircuit the brain. And there's tools that I share within that speaking presentation. So I want to take the tools that I wrote in this workshop and put them in a book. So then people can get the book and reference it, and I can help them reference, oh, let's say that I'm having some anxiety. Well, let's try this tool here on your
And
own, or we
you
can do
are
it
already doing
together.
that.
We are already doing that, and we
Yes.
can do it online together, Zoom calls for face to face
Mm-hmm.
if you're not local.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what is inspiring me to do that is, and it's not going to be a big long book because
Mm-hmm.
let's face it, when we're in conflict or when we are depressed or have anxiety and we're not quite in the present moment, we really don't want to get handed, a 300-page book and say, read this.
Sort it out.
Yeah. So it's just going to be a quick, hopefully reference book. Mhm.
Good. Okay, so tell us what's lighting you up about the speaking, the workshops, your book,
Oh,
and what do you want that ripple effect to be?
okay, so I would love for the ripple effect to be that people can feel better than they think that they can, and to know that you're not alone when we have anxiety or these thoughts or depression or any of those things, that, we're in this together. We all have those feelings. And that's lighting me up to share that because it's really changed my life and I can feel a difference in my own body. And as I keep continuing, I feel better and better. And do I fall back and feel uncomfortable sometimes? Of course, we all will and do. Although it's important to keep building that reserve, and we can do it together. And I believe that that's really what's inspiring me, is to know that we're not alone and that there's really nothing to be ashamed of, and we don't have to have the shame and the negativity around it. It's really just a normal thing of being a human being,
Hmm.
is to go through life like we do. There's nothing wrong with it, and we don't have it all figured out. Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably my biggest takeaway from our conversation today is just that reminder of,
right.
and I love that you bring up shame just as we like wrapping up here, thinking about like how
We could do a whole other podcast on
set.
shame.
Oh, absolutely. And there's always more to unpack, right?
Mhm.
And so thinking about that, like my biggest takeaway probably is just the conversation as a whole. What it brings me to is understanding that, um, the journey, the peeling the layers and like always working on ourselves, and not in a way like you're so imperfect you have to be working on yourself all the time,
No.
but I am someone that I look for improvement, like, and I use it as a positive versus a beating myself up, like that is my frame. So just understanding like I'm always looking to help the being
Yeah.
for myself and for my clients, and understanding like when we help the being, the human being, the person, everything else can improve. Like there's no way it doesn't. Is my takeaway from hearing all the amazing things that you know about the brain and like your passion for like connecting your work to like the understanding of the brain and what you do with your clients. But like to me, everything is about helping the human being so that it helps everything in their life.
I agree with you. And sometimes like doing the work, if we go too far and we're doing that's too hard, we're not doing something right.
Mm,
And mind you, life will be hard.
hmm.
Although sometimes we have to take that step back and rest. And then somehow, some way it gets easier and we have more time.
Oh, girl, I could tell you about the hard. I just finished
Yeah.
the 75 hard and I haven't
Oh,
been
yeah.
doing all of my things.
Great
And I
for you. Yes.
feel like the discipline and the things that support me, it's like this is why I love to challenge myself
Mhm.
because it's a reminder of how important it is to take care of your mind, take care of your body.
Yeah, 75 hard
Oh my
incorporates
gosh.
all of that.
It does. And
Yeah.
an extreme level.
It is a little bit
It's
extreme.
an
It's
extreme
not
level.
something you could
It's
do
not
all
for
the time,
everyone.
right?
But it is for me, it's something that it brings me back to that understanding that the important pieces of taking care of my being, and it's kind of my jump start to like be extreme because that's the all or nothing mentality that I work hard
Right, yes.
to eliminate. It does serve me in some capacity because it's, that flip coin, it can be the negative and the positive in my life, the way that I choose to respond to it.
I agree with you. And 75 hard's good because you don't have to do 75 hard. You could still do a workout outside, workout inside. You still read, maybe not at the level that they're telling you to, although you can still incorporate those things in and carry forward with it, which I do like about that.
Hmm.
And I think what we eat matters. That's another thing.
Yeah.
And there's
Well,
no shame in that.
everything that we
Yes,
input in our body,
exactly.
right? What we listen to, what we eat,
Yes, we all of that.
all of
Yes.
it, what we see, the visuals and like what movies and stuff we watch. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't understand how much that was a part of making up who I am until way like in my 30s. Like, I've learned so much in my
Hmm.
30s about me, the human being, that I never understood in my 20s.
Isn't that
And how
amazing? Right.
important it is what we watch, what we listen to, what we're eating, and all of those
Right.
things, they matter because it is vibrating in our body to
Oh,
some level.
absolutely. Like what we watch, what we eat. And then I have dreams. So like
Mm.
certain things I watch, I will
Hmm.
dream about and I have very clairvoyant dreams, like or I'm clairvoyant in that way, I can color and textures and remembering details.
Yeah.
And if I watch something scary, then I'm going to have a nightmare that
Oh
night.
no.
It's just kind of how it is. But anyway, yes, it all does really incorporate and matter. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I love that. So that's my biggest takeaway. So I wanted to ask, what's one truth or mantra that you'd love every woman that's listening today to take with her?
I think to give ourselves that compassion and grace and trust and keep coming back to that. Give myself too. I'm speaking for me, I'm speaking for Becky, all of us, just to keep carrying on. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's like we're perfect with our imperfections. And with life comes a lot of acceptance, compassion, grace, and trust. All of those words. And if we could use those as our mantras, that
Mm,
would be a beautiful thing for us to stay connected and true to ourselves.
I love that. I've been working on distilling things down to like fewer words because words matter so much, like to be really simplified.
Yeah.
So even thinking about those three words, I love that that's like what you want us to like walk away with. Simplify.
I do.
Make it a
I do.
positive,
Yes.
impactful word and just like use it as a guide. I
Yeah.
love that.
And because life goes so fast, if we can find something fast that gets us grounded,
Hmm.
it would be good, especially as women. We do so much, right? We're always got the next thing coming, the next thing going, the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to slow down. So if we can just choose those words and even put it up in the mirror, or,
Hmm.
you have this cup right here that's really beautiful. And she has all these different words on a cup. And, it just says beautiful and brave,
Hmm.
bold, all those things that just kind of a little reminder just to get ourselves into our hearts and into our souls.
Hmm.
And if you want that intention worksheet, we'll get that for you. And it comes out to be kind of an I am statement. So you could do I am strong or I am capable or something that works for you,
Hmm.
for your own soul,
Yeah.
your own passion. Yeah.
I love that. So this is your invitation to make sure that you go in the show notes to learn how to connect with Kerri, about the tools that she shared, the worksheets, any of those things that she sends over. I will have all that linked in the show notes for you to have easy access to, her website, all of those goodies. And I want to say thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much, Becky. This is great.
This has
Yes.
been awesome.
And
Thank you for
thanks to all of
sharing.
you for listening and reach out anytime.
Yes, I love this. And if you haven't yet signed up for the Confidence Catalyst Weekly Boost, this is your reminder that you receive all the goods, the podcasts, the healthy headspace, and you get to stay connected with those every week, delivered right to your inbox, and all of the upcoming life breathing experiences that we have on the agenda for you. So Kerri and I have collaborated on some things. So who knows, there might be some things on there coming out too.
Yeah.
But I want to say thank you for tuning in to the podcast. Make sure you get connected to Kerri. Remember to love yourself, live fearlessly, and do all things with purpose. Have a great day.